All right, guys, I'm going to be showing you how to complete your Make Your Own Emoji assignment. This is going to be for a mastery grade because I am going to be testing all of the skills I have taught you guys how to use so far using digital art tools and applications. So I'm going to go ahead and go over this lesson with you. The first thing I'm going to do is take a look at the rubric, so you guys can see how I'm going to be grading this. And I'm going to be grading you on your effort and participation, your creativity, your craftsmanship, and your mastery, the way you have mastered the skills that I have taught you to use for this assignment. And I have a category for each one of how I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. So let's take a look now at the examples for you guys to create your emojis. So this is my first example, and I used photopea.com to create this, and I'll show you guys how I did it. I made it personal and unique. This emoji doesn't exist already, and it's personal to me because I love mermaids, and I decided to make a mermaid emoji. I added a crown, and I added different colors and made it unique. So the second example that I have, I did using Google Drawings. So you'll get to choose what application you want to use to make your emoji. So this is my I love pizza emoji, and I created it by creating different shapes using Google Drawings. So those are two of the different applications that you can use to create your emojis. You can do Photopea, you can do Google Drawings, or you can choose a different app if you're more comfortable with it to create your own emoji. So now I'm going to show you the two different techniques I use to create my emojis. And I did Photopea for my first emoji. So I went to create new project, and I named it Mrs. Wade emoji. You should be naming yours the same. And then I selected the size I wanted to create my document in by selecting photo and looking at the templates that were available. And I chose the 5x7 template, but I want this to be a square, so I'm going to adjust the settings to be 5 inches by 5 inches on both width and height. So this will create a square document when I hit the button create. So you can see I have a square document. So to start creating my emoji, the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to create a new layer, and I'm going to start building the different parts of my emoji on different layers. And this first layer is going to be the body of my emoji. And I'm going to build this using the brush tool. So I'm selecting the brush tool on my toolbar, and I'm going to pick the color I'd like my emoji body to be. And I'm going for kind of like a purplish pink shade for the body of my emoji. So I'm going to hit OK once I've selected the color, and I'm going to increase the size of my brush to be the size I want my emoji body to be. And then I'm going to click on that layer to create the body of my emoji in that lightish pink purple color that I chose. So now I am going to add some shading to my body. And I'm going to do that by selecting the magic wand tool hidden underneath the object selection button. So I find that tool on my toolbar and I right click, and that's going to reveal the hidden tools associated with that button. And I'm going to choose the magic wand. And making sure that I'm on that body layer, I'm going to select the inside of that pink circle. And now that I have the pink area of my circle selected, I am going to add a gradient, and that is going to make this circle appear to have a shadow and a light area. So I'm going to show you how to find the gradient tool. This is a new tool that we're learning how to use. So the gradient tool is located about halfway down your toolbar. It looks like a gray square. It is the same tool that hides the paint bucket. So when you click on it with a right click, you'll see a little menu pop up, and you'll see that that's where the paint bucket is hidden. but we're using the gradient tool as it appears today. So when we select that tool, we're going to go up to the additional settings for this tool, and we're going to click on the little preview of our gradient bar. And this is where we can adjust the colors that our gradient is going to look like. So right now it's a dark pink fading into a white. And I think that looks good, but I do want to change the white to a lighter pink. So to do that, I'm going to click on that white box where it starts turning white. And this is going to give me a color picker. So when I click on it, it opens up the color picker, and now I can pick a new color. So instead of fading to white, I'm going to choose a lighter pink and hit OK. And now you can see a preview of what that gradient is going to look like. So it has a dark pink fading into a light pink. I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to use this gradient tool by clicking and dragging across the shape that I have selected to fill it with that gradient color. So you can see I let go and it fills with that color going from dark pink to light pink. But I kind of wanted it to be the opposite. I wanted the dark to be on the bottom and the light to be on the top. So I'm going to click and drag from the opposite direction this time. And that's going to allow me to change it. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to click and drag with my gradient tool, this time from the bottom up to the top. I'm going to let go. And now I have my gradient going from dark on the bottom to light on the top. And that is just how you can add a little bit of extra detail to the body of your emoji by giving it the look of value. It looks like it has value now, where it has a darker area on the bottom and a lighter area on the top. So that looks pretty good. I like the way that looks, and I'm going to go ahead with the next step, which is to unselect this area, and I'll do that by hitting select at the top of my menu and hitting deselect, so I get rid of that dotted line. So now I'm going to move on to the next part of my emoji. So I'm going to create a new layer, and this is going to be the eyes of my emoji. So I'm naming that layer eyes. And I could just draw the eyes with a paintbrush if I wanted to by decreasing the size of my paintbrush and painting it on. But I'd rather make eyes that were more of an oval shape. So I'm going to use a different tool to do that, and that's going to be the shape tool. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that now using the shape tool. So once again, it's located down towards the bottom of your toolbar, right above the hand button, and I'm going to click it. And it is a rectangle as a default, so we need to right-click on that button to reveal the other hidden tools that you can access when using the shape tool. And when you right-click on the shape tool, you'll see that menu appear with all of the different options that you have for selecting different kinds of shapes. So I chose the ellipse, and I'm clicking and dragging with the ellipse tool to create an oval shape. Just kind of getting that to look like the right size just by dragging it around. And when I let go, it creates that shape, but it creates it with that red color because that's the default color of our fill. So to change that, we're going to go to where it says fill. We're going to select that button, and that's going to allow us to pick a different color. And I want my eyes to be black, so I'm going to choose that black swatch that's already available. So now I have one of my eyes, and you can see how on the list of layers, it shows eyes. And now I'm going to show you how to create a duplicate eye so we can make two eyes that are exactly the same. So to do that, I'm going to select the Move tool. And when I do that, you'll see the little border appear around the eyeball while I'm making sure that I've clicked on the layer for the eyes. And you can see the little nodes that allow you to drag and adjust the size. So to create a duplicate of this shape, I'm going to hold down the Control and Alt button on my keyboard at the same time. And while I'm holding those buttons down, I'm going to click inside of that black oval shape, and I'm going to drag that oval shape across, and that's going to create a duplicate. So again, I'm holding down the Control and Alt button I'm going to click and drag that shape, and you'll see that it creates a duplicate. And I can move it around and decide where I want to put it. And when I let go, it will create a copy of that layer on my list of layers. So now I have those two layers. I have one that says eyes and one that says eyes copy. So I can go ahead and rename those to be a little bit more specific to what's on that layer. So I'll name that one I1, and I'll name this one I2. All right, so that's how to create the eyes. I want to just use the move tool just to kind of adjust the area that these eyes are sitting on. And I can adjust them by clicking on that layer with the move tool and using my arrow keys to just tap up and down to quickly adjust where those eyes are. I can also click and drag them to move them a little bit more quickly. So now to add a little more of a realistic look to these eyeballs, I'm going to give them a little bit of reflective light. And I'm going to do this by creating a new layer. And I'm going to use the brush tool to add a little white dot of light in each of the eyes. So I'm picking white from my color picker while using my brush tool. I'm going to decrease the size of my brush tool, and I'm just going to click inside the black eye to create that appearance of reflection. So you may notice that you did not see the white appear in that second eye, and that's because when I created this new layer, it is in between those two eyes. So it's above the first eye, but below the second eye. So we can't see the white dot because it's below the second eye. So to fix that, we need to drag that layer above the second eye. So it's over both of those eyes. So when I do that, you can see that little white shape appears. I'm going to go ahead and name that layer so I know that that is where my eye reflection is. I'll just go ahead and fix that since I misspelled it. And now I have my eye reflection layer. So now I'm going to create a new layer for the next detail that I'm going to add, and this is going to be my mouth. So I'm naming that layer, and I'm going to be showing you how to use a new tool to create the mouth, and this is called the pen tool. So the pen tool is similar to the shape tool, but it allows you to create custom shapes. So it's located below the type tool, below the letter T. It looks like the tip of an ink pen, and we're going to click on it, and I'll show you how to use it. So to draw with the pen tool, it's kind of like the shape tool and where it creates a shape on a new layer. But instead of creating an already existing shape, you draw the shape by connecting dots. So you click once to create a dot, and then you click again to create another dot, which will have a line appear that connects the two dots together, as you can see. So you can create a straight line just by clicking on the first dot and then creating a second dot. You can also create a curved line by creating your first dot, clicking again to create your second dot, but holding the click down and dragging this bar that appears. And this allows you to create a curve in the line between those two dots by dragging what's called this anchor around. So you can just drag it and it creates a curve depending on what direction you drag the anchor in. So once you've curved the line, you can let go, and then to get rid of this anchor bar, you're going to hold down the Alt button and then click on the middle of the line that you've just created. So I'll show you that one more time. You're going to hold down the Alt button on your keyboard, and then you're going to click the center dot in between those two dots that have white in the center. And when you do that, it deletes that anchor and allows you to continue the line. So I'm going to click that to create my whole shape, and that is my mouth. So that's kind of a complicated way to make a mouth using the pen tool. It creates this shape that you can now click and drag around using the move tool. If you'd rather just draw the mouth of your emoji using the brush tool, you can always do that as well, if this is a little too complicated for you. So that's how we create a mouth using the pen tool. And now I'm going to show you just kind of like a quick look back at my example because I'm doing the same thing. I added a crown and a mermaid tail to make this emoji a unique personal emoji because I love mermaids and I'd never seen this kind of a mermaid emoji. So that's why I'm creating this because it's unique and creative and it's personal to me. So now I'm going to show you how I added that crown. So I actually used a Google image search to look for different examples of mermaid crowns that I then incorporated into this document. So I did a Google search, I typed in mermaid crown, and then I went to the image search for mermaid crown to see what my results looked like. So just like the sandwich project, I'm looking for a mermaid crown that has a white background that will allow me to easily add it to my document and remove the background. So I'm just going to scroll down until I find a really good example. And as you can see, I found this one right down here that I used in my example. So I'm going to use that one again. And to add it to my document, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to where it says copy image. And this will allow me to copy this image over. So you need to make sure that you get this menu show up as you are clicking on it, you are right clicking on it. If it's not allowing you to right click and you don't see this menu pop up, you may have to save it to your computer and then upload it the way we did with the sandwich. But as long as you can see where it says copy image, you should be able to copy it and transfer it to your document. So now I'm going to go to edit, I'm going to go to paste, and that has allowed me to paste that crown. So I'm going to show you that one more time. I'll go ahead and delete that, and I'll show you one more time. So I'm right clicking on my crown that I found in my Google search. I'm going to hit copy image. And I'm going to go back, and this is how I add it. I go to edit, and I go to paste. And that will paste that crown on a new layer in my Photopea document. And I'll go ahead and make the adjustments I need. I can drag it around by clicking on the move tool. I'm going to go ahead and name this layer crown so I know that's what's on this layer. And I'm going to use the move tool to resize the crown so it fits on top of my emoji's head a little bit more. So it's almost like this image was made specifically for my emoji because it fits perfectly. So once I'm happy with the resizing and the location, I am going to hit enter, and that's going to complete that resize and movement, and that will allow me to make that crown look just perfect as I want it to. So if you are adding an image and it's not allowing you to adjust it or change the size, that means you need to rasterize it. So I'm showing you where to look for that rasterize option to allow you to resize any kind of image you add to your document. And it's not letting you resize it. You need to rasterize it first. All right, so now I'm going to look for a tail that I'm going to add to my emoji to create that image of a mermaid. I have a bunch of tails that I can choose from when I do a Google image search. Again, I'm looking for something simple with a white background, and this looks great. So I'm going to copy that image. I'm going to take it back to Photopea, and I'm going to paste, going to edit and paste. I have that tail appear as a new layer. And I am going to adjust the size by using the move tool to shrink it down. Actually, I'm going to use the magic wand tool to remove the white background first. I do not need to rasterize it because it does not have a little symbol in the preview window telling me that it needs to be rasterized. So I can go ahead and rename the layer. And I can use the magic wand tool to select that white background and hit the backspace key to remove that background. Once I've done that, I can deselect that area by hitting image or select, deselect. And then I can use the move tool to resize and move this mermaid tail shape to where I want it to appear on my emoji. So keep in mind, you guys are creating your own personal emojis, so you can be adding any kinds of details that help you personalize your emoji. My emoji is a mermaid, so that's why I'm using details associated with a mermaid. I'm dragging that tail down below my body layer so it goes behind my body. But if you're making your own personal emoji, you're thinking of details for something that makes this emoji personal and unique to you. So now I am going to adjust my mermaid tail just a little bit more. I don't want it going off of the edge of the paper like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all of my layers and I can adjust all of the size of all of my layers all at once. So to do that, I clicked on my crown, which was the top layer. I held the shift button down and then I clicked on mermaid tail, which is my bottom layer. And that automatically selects all of those layers. So now when I use the move tool, I can drag and adjust and it changes the size of all of the layers all at once because I've selected all of them at once. So I'm just doing this to change the size of the whole emoji. So now I can adjust where the tail comes out and how big it is. And I have a little bit more room to do that now that everything is a little bit smaller. So now I'm going to add a gradient to my mermaid tail, just like I did to the body of my emoji. I'm going to add one to my mermaid tail. So I'm using the magic wand to select the color of my mermaid tail, and I'm going to click on the gradient tool, and I'm going to pick the colors I want my mermaid tail to blend into. So I have my color pickers again. So I'm going to choose the first color by clicking on that bottom square. And I think I'm looking for like a bluish green color. So I'm going to click around on my color picker to find a color that I like and hit OK. And now I'm going to choose the color that it's going to blend into. I think I want it to be a darker color this time. So I'm kind of just click around until I find a darker color that I like. I think that looks good. I'll hit OK. And now I have this bright blue transitioning into this darker kind of greenish blue. And I like how that looks, so I hit OK. And now I'm going to drag my gradient tool across my mermaid shape. And that looks really cool. But I think I'd rather the lighter color be towards the top. So I'll undo it and then re-drag the gradient tool. And now I have a nice transition from light to dark blue on my mermaid tail. And I'll deselect it. And that looks nice. So once more, I'm going to show you how to select all of your layers by clicking on the bottom layer, then holding down the shift key and clicking on the top layer. And you'll see all of the layers turn a darker color, which means that I've selected all of them. And so now when I use the move tool, I can drag and adjust the size of all of those layers at the same time. I can just make sure it's nice and centered on my page. It's the shape that I want it to be. And now I am going to save it as a PSD, which means that I can go back and edit it. And then I'm also going to save it as a JPEG once I'm done and ready to turn it in, because this is the file I'm going to upload to Google Classroom to turn this in. So it's going to give me that little save window. I'm going to hit save, and that will download this as a JPEG to my computer. And then I can turn it in on Google Classroom. So that was how to create a personalized, unique emoji using Photopea. That's one way you can choose to do this assignment. I'm going to show you a second way in case it's a little bit easier for you to use this. And this is going to be using Google Drawings. I'll show you how to find the Google Drawings app on your computer. So when you open just a plain old Google search engine, you can go to the waffle, and this is where all of your Google apps will appear. The ones that you use the most will appear first. So when you click on that, you'll see a window open and you'll see all the different apps you can choose from. If you don't see Google Drawings appear here, I will show you how to find it. And that is by typing in the name Google Drawings into your search engine on Google. So I'm just typing it in and I'm hitting enter. And I'm going to go with, it should be the first thing you see, Google Drawings. And I'm going to click on it and it will open that app for me. The more you use this app, the more likely it is that it will appear in that waffle menu on your main Google screen. So this is my example of what I did, and I'll show you how to remake that using this blank document. So just like Photopea, we're creating new shapes and we're layering them to create the whole design of our emoji. But Google Drawings does not use layers. If you've used Google Slides to add pictures or create shapes, it's very similar to that. And it has a couple of different shape tools that you can use at the top of the screen to create your shape and create your emoji design. So I'm going to open that shape menu and I'm going to choose the shape of the body of my emoji. So I'm going to choose this oval right here to create a circular shape for my emoji body, just like I did in Photopea. So I'm going to click and drag until that shape is as big as I'd like it to be. And it appears on the screen and it has this default color and this default border. It just kind of automatically appears in this color, but I'll show you how to change that. So you can change the color of your emoji's body. So to change this, you're just going to make sure you select that shape that you made. You're going to go to a little paint bucket that says fill color at the top of your screen. And that's going to give you a selection of colors to choose from. You can choose any of these colors that already exist, or you can create a custom color by selecting custom and then clicking around on the rainbow slider bar, just like we do in Photopea when we go to the color picker to select custom colors. So I'm going to make this yellow. I'm going to make this more of a traditional emoji, and I'm going to make it yellow by selecting from the yellow on that selection of colors that's already pre-existing, and that's going to make that shape yellow. You'll see it has a black line around it though. I do not want it to have a border or a black line that goes around. So to get rid of that, I'm going to go to where it says border color at the top of my screen. It's a little crayon shaped icon. When I click on that, it's going to give me that same selection of colors, but I'm going to choose transparent because I do not want you to be able to see the border color. So when I click on transparent, you'll see that that border line disappears. So now I have a yellow body to create my emoji, and I can click and drag on those nodes to adjust the size, and I can drag it around to adjust the placement. Now I'm going to add the eyes, and I'm going to use that same oval shape tool to click and drag to create my eyes. I'm going to create oval eyes just like my other emoji. When I create that shape, it's going to be yellow because that was the last color that I used my shape tool with. So I'm going to go ahead and just change the color to black. And I am going to duplicate this eye to make a second eye that's exactly the same size and shape. And I'm doing this the same way I did in Photopea, where I'm holding Control and Alt down on my keyboard at the same time. And while I'm holding those buttons down, I'm clicking and dragging, and that's going to create a duplicate. And I just accidentally created a third duplicate. So I'm just going to delete that. And now I have my duplicate shape. And I'm just going to click and drag to arrange those eyeballs to look correct for my emoji design. And now I have my two eyeballs. So I can even go as far as to use that ellipse oval shape again to create my eyes or my reflections, the whites of my eyes, just by clicking and dragging and then holding Control and Alt at the same time to create a duplicate. So now I have the little white reflection in my eye. And you may have noticed that I accidentally changed my body to be white. So to fix that, I'm going to So I accidentally made my emoji white. So I'm going to show you how to fix that if that happens to you. I'm just clicking on that shape and I'm clicking on that yellow color to change it back to yellow. So now I'm going to add the shape of the mouth, and I'm going to think about shapes that mouths can be, and I'm going to go ahead and look and see what kinds of shapes are already available on my shape tool, and I'm going to choose one that could be a good mouth for my emoji. So I've got this moon shape that could be a good smiling mouth. I've got a couple shapes down below that look like a sideways version of a mouth. And depending on the expression, either of these could work really well. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. And I'm going to click and drag to create that shape. And I'm just going to drag it around until it looks right. And I can use this little bar and drag that to adjust or rotate my mouth. And I can just keep pulling and dragging on all of these different nodes to adjust the shape of this mouth to get it to look the way I want it to look to create a nice mouth for my emoji. So I'm just going to fiddle around with that until it looks correct. And then I am going to change the color by clicking on that fill color and changing it to black. Now, I did not get rid of the border color just because the border is also black and it all kind of blends together, and I don't really need to worry about it being a separate thing. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. So this was my I heart pizza emoji. So now I need to create some hearts to represent the I heart pizza or I love pizza. Luckily, if I go to my shape tool, there is an already existing shape that I can find there that will allow me to create a heart for my I heart pizza emoji. So you can see if you just take a look at some of the different shapes, there's a little heart right there. So now when I click and drag, I can create a heart shape. So now I need to change the color. I'm going to go to my fill color and I'm going to choose red for my heart. I'm going to get rid of that border color because I don't want a border. I want it to be consistent with the shape of my body for my emoji. So I'm going to get rid of that border by clicking transparent on border color. And now I'm going to select that shape and I'm going to hold down the Control and Alt button again and drag that shape down, and that's going to create a duplicate shape. And I'm going to put it towards the bottom just to show that my emoji is full of love. So now I need to add the last detail that's going to create this emoji, and that's going to be the pizza, because this is my I heart pizza emoji that is unique and personal to me because I love pizza, and this emoji represents that. So to add a pizza, I'm going to insert an image, just like I did in Photopea for my mermaid crown and my mermaid tail. I'm going to find an already existing picture of a pizza to add to this emoji. So I'm going to my image, insert image. I'm going to do a search for image using the Google search engine, and I'm going to type in pizza slice. And I'm going to go ahead and choose pizza slice clip art because I want this to be a cartoony piece of pizza to match my cartoony emoji. So go ahead and do that image search, and that first little pizza slice that pops up is perfect. So I'll go ahead and select that from my image search and insert that image into my document. And now I'm just going to drag it across to have it positioned correctly. So I want the pizza looking like it's going inside the emoji's mouth. So I'm just going to adjust the size and shape of the pizza so it has that appearance by clicking and dragging on those little nodes in the corner to adjust the size. So now my pizza looks like it's going into the emoji's mouth. So that looks good. I'm pretty happy with that. Again, it's a personal, unique emoji. I've never seen this emoji anywhere else. That's what makes it unique. And it's personal to me because I love pizza. So now I'm going to save this. I'm going to name it Mrs. Wade Emoji. And I'm going to save this by clicking File and Download. And I'm going to download this as a JPG, just like in Photopea. I'm going to save this as a picture image, and I can then see it downloads to my computer, and then I can upload it to Google Classroom to turn this assignment in. So that's the second way that you guys can create an emoji using a digital art tool. You can use Photopea, you can use Google Drawings, or you can use any other digital art application you're comfortable using. If you are having difficulties getting any computer applications to work, you can always do this using pencil and paper and color it using any materials you have around your house to color it if you cannot get any of your computer programs to work for you. So that's a third option as well. So let me know if you have any questions and have fun working on this assignment.